obviously you would love a better ending, but you can't forget all the good things about it. And another year to live out a lifelong dream of playing in the NBA, man, and individually to be walking away healthy right now, to be able to accomplish some of the things, to be back in Miami. There's a lot of good things about this season, and that I'll sit down and I'll think about.
So, the final match with a number. Is this it for Dwyane Wade?
I don't know. Stay tuned.
D. Wade says, stay tuned, everybody. But a lot of people are questioning if last night's playoff loss against the Philadelphia 76ers was the final game of his NBA career.
He has 3 championship rings and an Olympic gold medal. So if he does go out, he'll, of course, end on a high note.
You can say that again. CBS4 sports hacker Jim Barry now with a special guest. More on D. Wade's future and a lot more. Jim.
All right, guys, I'm here with Tim Reynolds, who knows him well. Man, let me get out the violin for that, because that was really some heart-searing stuff there with Dwyane Wade. But I think he's being very honest. And my sense, Tim, is that this is going to be a practical decision for D. Wade, not an emotional one. If they put together a competitive roster, maybe he comes back. But otherwise, I don't see it. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right. It's not going to be emotional. If it was going to be emotional, it would have happened last night.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been the emotional time. He's been thinking about this for a while, really thinking about this ever since he came back in February. There's so much that goes into it. The fact that he's not hurting, that's a big deal to him, because he's had end of season aches and pains. You know that.
Yep.
You've covered him as long as I have. You know that ends of years have been hard on him. He's feeling really good right now. He can still play. That's also a very big factor. If this was it, he didn't embarrass himself in this series. And I do think, though, a big factor in this decision is going to be he takes the input of his son. You know, he's given his children input on the decision to go to Chicago, the decision to go to Cleveland. They're going to get a little bit of a say in this one, too. And his oldest son, Zaire, is a very promising player, and I think Dwyane wants to be there for him. There's a lot of really good reasons pointing toward maybe it is the right time. But he can still play, and being a ball player is what he knows best.
No question about that. And Eric Spoelstra has said that he could play this role of coming off the bench forever. And clearly he showed he's got a lot left. But also it depends on who he's playing with. And obviously Hassan Whiteside was a guy they didn't get to see a lot coming out of in this series against the Sixers, really outclassed by Joel Embiid. So what about Whiteside's future with this team?
Well, they are going to try to trade him. And that's not a surprise. I mean, they have to do it, I think, for their sake and for his. He's getting $25.5 million next year. He's got a player option for $27 million the year after that. And it's going to be very difficult for a team to be eager, let's say. It's going to take quite a sales pitch, I think, from the Heat to move him. You can trade bad contracts. You can trade disgruntled players. He is a rebounding champion. He is a block shot champion. Yeah. Nobody can question the talent.
But what happened to the guy that we saw who used to dominate games?
I think, above all else, he's hurt. I think when he took the 9 games off for what they called the hip injury, I'm not even sure it was a hip injury. I don't think, I question whether the knee is right, and he has told me that I'm wrong. He did not have any lift. Look at that highlight there. He's barely off the ground. He's got my hops in that frame, JD. He doesn't have the explosion. Yeah. That's what made him the $98 million center. He's been missing that. I think he needs some time to get his mind right. I think he needs some time to get his body right as well.
All right, Pat Riley, not known to be a guy who is patient and pushing the reset button. He's also always a guy who wants to retool. Now he's 73 years old, wants to see the Heat back in the thick of it again. But a lot of people think this roster has a lot of guys who are overpaid, and maybe you can't move too easily. So what does he do?
Well, they are overpaid in a manner of speaking. They're paid in a lot of these cases what the market bore. Like that, you know, the Dallas offered Hassan $94 million. People forget that. And if they had let Hassan go, fans wouldn't have been happy either. Now that it didn't pan out, of course, fans aren't happy. The biggest priority is going to be keeping Wayne Ellington, first of all. He will stay here for less money than he could get on the open market. But look what the Sixers gave J.J. Redick this year. They needed a shooter, so they gave J.J. Redick $23 million. Wayne Ellington could get an offer like that from someone. They need to move some people. They need to move a lot of people, probably 3 or 4 people. And there's going to be literally everybody, just so all Heat fans know this up front, every player on this team between now and draft night, between now and July 1, is going to get talked about in trades. Everyone is available.
All right, this guy over our shoulder here, Mr. D. Wade, maybe his buddy Udonis Haslem knows what he's thinking about. They came in together. Do you think that sentiment plays into it at all, that maybe they want to ride out together?
The sentiment played out in that Dwyane was always going to come back to Miami. if he hadn't gotten traded back in February, I think he would have been here this coming summer as a free agent. I really do. They were going to play together again. Now they have. I don't think Dwyane's decision will mean much for Udonis. By the way, I believe, and a lot of people don't understand this, I believe Udonis Haslem is going to be on this team next year.
Really?
I absolutely do.
He barely played this year.
He barely has played for 3 years, and he'll barely play next year.
Wow.
But they need him in that locker room. You talk about culture, you talk about taproot words that Pat Riley likes to throw around. Culture is at the forefront of it all. Nobody has more respect outside of the coaching staff. No one gets more respect in that room, not even Dwyane, than UD, because of all the sacrificing he has done. They need him in that room. Now, again, if you change the makeup of the room greatly, is he so needed? Maybe not. I do expect UD to be back for a 16th season.
Wow, nice work if you can get it.
Absolutely.
All right, and certainly we hope that D. Wade can hang around too, because obviously he is so beloved down here, so we'll see how that works out. So when he calls you to tell you what he's going to do, make sure you let us know, all right?
I'll tweet first, but I'll tag you guys, and don't worry, he will always be around. And I think even if it doesn't work out as a player, he's going to get a job in the organization.
Yeah, all right, I look forward to seeing that.
It doesn't work out. We mean it's not going to work out if he doesn't come back as a player.
There you go. All right, Tim, thank you a lot. Tim Reynolds, back to you guys.